Hi. I thought I would share things with you from this performance art book that was released just today. It has the Chicago skyline on it because most of these are from Chicago, though there are some that are from Austin as well. And I have to give props to Tom just because I'll be in Chicago next week, which is why I'm wearing this goofy t-shirt of the Labor Cup. Yay, give it up for an Australian, yay. The Labor Cup's got a 3-day festival going on this weekend, so I have to, my huge shirt, I'm just trying to wear it, that's why I wash it and shrink it. Anyway, this is why I'm wearing it, just because it's huge. It's like, God, this thing's massive. But I thought I'd read 3 poems that had nothing to do with these poems. Sorry about that. You talked about worldliness of places, so I was going to do another one that was about stuff from different parts of the world for the show with the Man of South Africa. This poem is called Enough's Enough. Once, when I was in Bad Gastein, where the Alps in Austria gave every street in town a 60-degree incline, I signed up for a bus tour so I could go to a radon cave at a nearby mining ground. Waiting outside on the bus, I stood there with something like 17 German-speaking Austrians, and I felt so out of place. I felt so out of my element there when I was almost dying to hear any sort of American voice saying any words. And that's when I heard a boisterous baritone. So I made my way to this booming, distinctly American voice. I merely asked, "American?" And this large man heard my inflection and immediately spoke. "Hi, I'm Frank, and little Mrs. here is Mildred." And this petite, subservient Midwestern woman standing next to this almost circular, melodramatic man made me think the perfect couple was looking like a perfect 10 as they stood there together. And Frank asked me where I was from, and when I said Chicago, he sprung up to start on his speech, schlepping his actual spiel. "We're from Detroit. I worked for GM for 35 years, and now that the kids are all grown up, with my pension, I thought I'd take the little missus here to see the Alps." And that's when I realized that I could have stood at 50 paces and still heard Frank telling his entire neighborhood his epic of his life. And that's when it occurred to me how loud us Americans can truly be. Because when first traveling through Europe, after the War on Terror actually began, the United States government and airlines wanted to inform Americans traveling abroad that if they were concerned about being a conspicuous target by looking too American, they offered these simple guidelines. Don't wear a university sweatshirt. Don't wear a sports team baseball cap. Don't chew gum. Don't yell. And I could just imagine Frank now yelling, "Mildred," you know, so I made a point to not sit next to Frank and Mildred on that bus, but that was okay. I could still hear them from rows away as we made our way to that mountain range. And to the Austrians on that tour who spoke English, a part of me wanted to tell them, not all Americans are that loud. Because even if us Americans want to rest on our laurels, some of us even know when enough is enough. Next one, I did 2 shows in Austin and then a show in Chicago last year because I thought it was a cool piece. It was done at Dripping Springs and it was done at the Baha'i Center. And I like this poem, and I want to share it with you, and it's called Original Snowbirds. I'd like to tell you a story about a bird. It's fair to say that this is the original snowbird. In Hawaii, the kalea is the Pacific golden plover. These foraging birds hang out in Hawaii until it is spring, where they've fattened up for their over 2,000-mile non-stop flight to Alaska. They have no waterproofing on their feathers, so they don't rest, but fly for 3 days straight. And fossils found on Oahu even reveal that the plovers have done this for 120,000 years. Because in the spring, they fly up north, and these birds spend 3 months in Alaska, and that they reclaim last year's breeding grounds and incubate eggs hatching in 25 days. Mommy and daddy bird then leave the nest just after the last chick hatches. That predators like foxes, jaegers, and caribou have forced these chicks to learn to leave the nest. In barely a month, after the chicks can then fly, come August, that is when the parents then leave. Now, these adult plovers eat like mad, gain 50% of their body fat, so they have fuel for their 3-day flight over 2,000 miles back to their Hawaiian home. Yeah, you heard me right. Every spring, these Pacific golden plovers, after bulking up for a 3-day nonstop flight up north, then they use 50% of their body mass doing it. And right after the babies are ready to fly, and after they've bulked up again once more, they leave their babies to fend for themselves, because these little birds, these tiny little birds can't even make the flight. They don't have the bulk to make the trip, and they never even have learned how to navigate. With Alaska sunrise, they never see stars or a night sky at all until they fly south. Maybe baby plovers use Earth's magnetic field because it's a miracle when they do reach Hawaii. But I've been told that when they return, they arrived in Hawaii in the exact same spot, year after year, for up to 20 years, and annually are welcomed by the natives. We think we understand the seasons, but in Hawaii, they mark the seasons by the coming and going of the kalea, the Hawaiian word that mimics the sounds of the Pacific golden plovers, the parents and their babies, because they mark the passage of time. And another short one here for one of the last shows I ever did at the Baha'i Faith Center. It's called Only Choices to Build. Walking through ruins, she saw desolation. She saw people saddened, ashes over everything. She walked through the rubble, reached her hand in, pulled out one brick, dusted it off. Everyone was saddened. Everything was ruined. She saw this brick and thought, what can I build? When you think it's over, when you think everything is terrible, this is your chance. Let's start anew. Let's start from scratch. Let's make the world as we see it can truly be.
Yeah.
Thank you.